Every time I confessed to the most popular girl on campus, she'd send me a red envelope. The first time, it was 520. The second time, 1,314. The third time, it was 5,201,314. Right before my 100th confession, I begged her, "Can you stop sending me money and just say yes for once?" And then, I saw a junior guy's post on his feed. She finally said yes. It wasn't until I found her phone that day that I realized her lock screen was a picture of me. She had my contacts saved as hubby, and her photo gallery was filled with tens of thousands of candid shots of me. It turned out she fell for me at first sight all along. But she played hard to get, rejecting my confessions 99 times. Just because she loved the thrill of me chasing her. Shortly after, I made a phone call. "Mom, Dad, I've made up my mind. I agree to study abroad." Finding out that the person you love actually loves you back. In that moment, it didn't make me happy. Instead, I just felt angry and completely drained. For the past 2 years, just to be with her, I threw away all my pride, enduring endless mockery and sneers from everyone at school. I brought her breakfast every single morning. Whenever it rained, I was always the first one there to hand her an umbrella. I gave her my whole heart but got nothing in return. I can't tell you how many late nights I spent crying alone in the dark. Only to force myself to smile the next day and keep chasing after her. Just to stay by her side. I almost gave up the highly competitive study abroad exchange spot I'd worked so hard for. Just then, I heard Song Yaya's voice from inside the room. "He's obsessed with me. He's not going anywhere. I'll say yes the next time he confesses." Hearing that breezy, completely arrogant tone of hers, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. There won't be a next time. That 100th confession? I'm done. I've completely given up. Now, I just want to leave. I want to disappear from her world. Completely and utterly. The moment I pushed the door open, the chatter in the private room came to a dead halt. Everyone instinctively turned away, and started talking about something else, pretending I wasn't even there. Song Yaya picked up a glass of wine and joined a game at the inner table, putting on her usual cold, untouchable act. She didn't even bat an eye at me. I just shot her a glance, and couldn't help but marvel at what a great actress she was. Despite the entire room ignoring me, I wasn't upset at all. I just walked over to an empty seat in the corner and sat down. For the next hour or so, everyone was laughing and chatting away. But I just sat there scrolling through my phone, completely invisible to the rest of the room. In the past, whenever Song Yaya showed up, I would have desperately looked for any excuse to get close to her. I'd scramble for topics just to catch her attention. Even for this very birthday party, I pestered her for ages, and even begged a bunch of mutual friends to put in a good word for me. Just so she would invite me. Logically speaking, you'd think I'd cherish something I fought so hard for. But seeing me casually dressed in sweatpants, without an ounce of effort, and with such a couldn't-care-less attitude, it looked like I didn't care about her birthday at all. This sudden, out-of-character indifference finally made Song Yaya's cold facade crack. She threw a few extra glances my way, after they sang happy birthday and cut the cake. It was finally time for the gifts. I waited until everyone else had given theirs. Before slowly standing up, I pulled a calendar out of my bag and handed it to her. Under the confused stares of everyone in the room, I just looked right at her and said flatly, "Song Yaya, starting today, tear off one page every single day. Once you tear off the very last page, there's a surprise waiting for you. It's my belated birthday gift to you." Hearing this, her roommates immediately burst into giggles. "This is going to be your 100th confession, right? Man, you sure are persistent. It's been 2 whole years, and you're still hanging in there. Do you really like Yaya that much?" Swayed by their teasing, Song Yaya naturally assumed that this was a countdown calendar for my 100th confession. A faint smile tugged at the corners of her lips, but she quickly fought it down. Returning to her usual expressionless face, "I only said that if you confessed 100 times, I'd think about it. I never said I'd actually say yes." I knew they all had it completely wrong. When that last page is torn off, it won't be the day I confess my love. It will be the day I disappear from her world, forever. I didn't bother explaining. I just gave a soft chuckle. "Song Yaya, I've chased you for so long, and it hasn't moved you at all. I'm actually really curious. What exactly is your ideal type?" Song Yaya stared at me intently. After a few seconds of silence, she parted her lips to speak. "My ideal type." But just as she started speaking, the heavy door was pushed open, instantly drawing everyone's attention. With all eyes on him, Meng Xiaoyan made his entrance, holding a beautifully wrapped gift box. He flashed Song Yaya a sweet, beaming smile. "Yaya, happy birthday." Along with his words, Song Yaya's gaze shifted and landed on Meng Xiaoyan. She raised a finger, lightly tapping the table, and picked up exactly where she'd been interrupted. "My ideal type is, of course, the cheerful, clean-cut, boy-next-door type." Hearing such flirtatious words right as he walked in, Meng Xiaoyan's face instantly flushed red. He practically skipped over to her side and handed her the carefully prepared gift, urging her to open it right then and there. Watching the two of them surrounded by the crowd, I didn't show a single ounce of sadness. Instead, I calmly went back to my seat and sat down. For the rest of the night, no matter where Song Yaya went, Meng Xiaoyan was right there beside her. The two of them chatted and laughed, taking drinks for each other, and even sharing the exact same piece of cake. I quietly watched how close they were acting, as a flood of memories flashed through my mind. Even though Song Yaya was the most beautiful girl at Tsinghua University and had countless guys chasing her, she always kept her distance from men. The one and only exception was her childhood friend, Meng Xiaoyan. She would fix his messy bangs, accompany him to classes, carry his bags, and even make bets and set up matches with girls from other schools just for him. Seeing all this blatant favoritism, it used to feel like needles stabbing straight into my heart. But that was until the day I learned the truth. I found out that even though they were childhood friends, they had never actually been that close before. Meng Xiaoyan used to follow her around all day, but she never paid him any mind. That was, until I came into the picture. Suddenly, she started intentionally acting all affectionate with him right in front of me. And it was all just to make me jealous, to push me to chase her even harder. So now, watching her put on this little show right in front of my face, I only felt a deep sense of irony. I set down my glass, got up, and went to the restroom. After splashing some cold water on my face, I felt a bit more clear-headed. What I didn't notice was the person who had quietly stepped up beside me. It wasn't until I heard Meng Xiaoyan's snarky voice that I realized something was off. Zehao, you've been chasing Yaya for years. She still hasn't said yes, yet you actually had the nerve to show up at her birthday party? Give me a break, please. She doesn't like you at all. Have some self-respect, will you? You're just a cheap, desperate joke. He looked so sweet and innocent, yet the words coming out of his mouth were absolutely filthy. I didn't show a single ounce of anger at his words. I just stared at him calmly. Can I help you? Meng Xiaoyan clearly didn't expect me to be so unfazed. He was caught off guard for a second, but he refused to back down. No, you can't. Do you know what everyone at school is saying about you? They call you the pathetic dog who confessed 99 times. You're supposed to be a decent student. Do you have absolutely no shame? Anyone with a brain can see that Yaya likes me. Why don't you open your blind eyes and look? Watching him throw a tantrum like a crazy person in the street, I still felt nothing. I simply shifted my gaze from him to the space right behind him, and casually pointed out, before you keep barking, you might want to look behind you. Meng Xiaoyan followed my gaze and spun around, looking completely confused. He instantly spotted Song Yaya standing just outside the door. It looked like she had been there for a while, and had most likely watched that whole scene play out. The moment he realized this, Meng Xiaoyan panicked. His face instantly morphed back into that innocent, pitiful look. With all of his arrogance completely vanishing, he hurried over to her, grabbed her arm, and started rambling in a panic. Yaya, it's not what it looks like. It was Zehao. He started bullying me first. But Song Yaya didn't seem to care at all. She had clearly watched Meng Xiaoyan insult me, yet she acted like she hadn't seen a thing. She briefly met my eyes, then took off her jacket and draped it over Meng Xiaoyan's shoulders. Her voice was unbelievably gentle. It's windy out here. You're dressed so lightly, you're going to catch a cold. Taking his hand, she turned around and walked him back into the private room. Even Meng Xiaoyan was shocked by her reaction. She really didn't care that he had just cursed me out. His confidence immediately flared right back up. He turned his head with a smug grin, giving me a disgustingly mocking look, as if laughing at how utterly pathetic I was. I turned away and headed downstairs. The stairwell was dead silent, echoing with nothing but my footsteps. Walking through the pitch black, my mind replayed everything that had just happened, and I let out a cold laugh. When she put her jacket on him, she was staring right at me. And all the while, she was whispering sweet nothings to him. I have to admit, her acting skills were absolutely stellar. If I hadn't already figured out her little game, I probably would have fallen for it, and ended up heartbroken for weeks. Honestly, a night like this wasn't exactly a first. Over the years, while chasing after her, I had thrown away all my pride and dignity. No matter how much people mocked me, or insulted me right to my face, I never let it get to me. I just wanted to focus on my goal and get the girl I loved. I didn't want any regrets. That's why I pushed through and confessed my feelings 99 times. But the girl I loved for 2 whole years, just because she enjoyed the thrill of the chase. Letting these rumors run wild like this, the hurt it caused me, cut deeper than 10,000 insults ever could. It was pouring rain outside. The whole group was stuck at the entrance of the bar. Song Yaya called her family's driver over, saying she was going to drop Meng Xiaoyan home. Meng Xiaoyan instantly flashed a smug look, shooting me a sidelong glance with an incredibly deliberate tone. It's getting so late, and everyone's leaving. Leaving Zehao all alone here waiting for a ride. That doesn't look too good, does it? Song Yaya took the umbrella from her driver, her voice totally flat. He has legs. After that, without even glancing at my reaction, she just took Meng Xiaoyan and got into the car. Watching her sports car fade away into the pouring rain, I didn't let it get to me. I just kept trying to book a ride on my phone. I waited in the freezing wind for over 2 hours. The rain finally slowed down, and a driver eventually picked up my request. By the time I got home, it was already 2 in the morning. The second I opened my door, the door across the hall opened too. Song Yaya walked out with an icy expression, her eyes completely devoid of warmth. Come home earlier from now on. You're opening the door way too loudly. It's ruining my sleep. I looked at her, noticing she hadn't even changed out of her clothes from earlier. And I instantly realized what was going on. I just let out a cold laugh. I gave a dismissive yeah, whatever, and turned right around to go into my room. A loud slam immediately echoed from the hallway outside, but I completely ignored it. I took off my soaking wet clothes, turned on the heater, wrapped myself in a blanket, and crashed on the couch. I bought this apartment 6 months ago, after hearing from someone that Song Yaya had moved out of the dorms. I went out of my way to buy it. I moved out just to be her neighbor, all because I was trying to win her heart. Bringing her breakfast in the morning, saying good night every evening. I staged all kinds of accidental run-ins every single day, just hoping to impress her. But no matter how much I showered her with attention, she completely brushed me off and barely ever responded. But it took me until now to realize she had been faking her indifference this whole time. Just like tonight, she obviously got home ages ago, and didn't even bother to change her clothes. She was clearly worried about whether I'd make it back safely, which is why she stayed up. But the second she saw me, she deliberately started spouting all that nonsense. This little game of hers, acting cold when she actually cares. I'm just so exhausted from watching it. I'm done playing along with her act. I unlocked my phone and listed the apartment online. Since I've decided to walk away, I'm going to make it a completely clean break. The next morning, a real estate agent came over to inspect the place. I dragged myself out of bed, still half asleep, and opened the door. I walked her through all the basic details of the apartment. After she finished looking around, I was just about to walk her out when the door across the hall opened. Song Yaya was standing there holding her car keys, ready to head out. The moment she spotted a strange woman standing next to me, she instantly frowned. Who is she? She's my sister-in-law. Just dropping some things off. I lied without even blinking. The agent standing next to me immediately shot me this incredibly confused look. But thankfully, she was professional enough not to blow my cover. She made up a quick excuse and headed out first. I went back inside, changed my clothes, and got ready to head to campus. But the second I turned the corner, someone was standing right in front of the elevator, completely blocking my path. I looked up and saw it was Song Yaya. I couldn't help but feel a bit confused. Weren't you just heading out? Why are you still here? Song Yaya looked a little awkward as she spoke up. I'll drive you to school today. I had no idea why she was suddenly acting like a completely different person. I shook my head and turned her down, but she insisted on driving me, acting like she'd completely lost her mind. She even made up a bunch of excuses, going from, "You're gonna be late," to, "It's right on my way." When she was about to pull out the eco-friendly carpooling card, I just couldn't win. I didn't want to waste any more time, so I just agreed. We didn't say a single word to each other the whole ride there. The car was dead silent. She was so used to me always chattering away in her ear. Seeing me this quiet, Song Yaya was clearly uncomfortable. For some reason, the sudden shift actually made her anxious. The second we pulled up to the school, I unbuckled my seatbelt, dropped a quick, "Thanks," and walked off without looking back. I hurried through the gates, only to notice that every single person walking by was giving me these incredibly weird looks, whispering behind my back. Zehao? That's him, right? Yeah. The guy trending online. God, how embarrassing. Hearing those bizarre comments, I quickly pulled out my phone, and instantly saw a bunch of links from my friends. I clicked on one, and realized someone had submitted my entire history of chasing Song Yaya to a campus gossip page, and it had completely blown up online. I just stared at the trending hashtag, Tsinghua University's ultimate simp. I froze completely. Top post in the tag was the anonymous submission. It laid out every single thing I'd ever done to win her over, documenting every single detail. It was painfully specific. They even leaked the exact words from my love letters. From a distance, I saw a massive crowd gathered around the campus bulletin board. It was plastered with every love letter I had ever written. The crowd was roaring with laughter, reading them out loud. Oh my god, drowning in your eyes? That is so cringe. 99 love letters, all written differently. Being this obsessed is genuinely terrifying. I thought he was supposed to be the smartest guy on campus? Why is he acting so desperate? Listening to their ruthless, mocking voices, my heart sank. I shoved my way through the crowd and started ripping the letters down, one by one. Right as I grabbed the last piece, I heard Meng Xiaoyan's shrill, incredibly petty voice right next to my ear. Hey, Yaya, Zehao has confessed to you so many times. Do you feel anything for him at all? Song Yaya's voice was as icy as ever. She answered with just one word, 0. Seeing both of them show up in person, only to publicly humiliate me like that. The crowd's laughter grew even louder and more vicious. Some troublemakers, clearly wanting to stir the pot, deliberately sneered at me. Hey, Zehao, you've confessed 99 times, and you still got a big fat 0. Guess you gotta keep trying, huh? When's the next confession gonna be? We should all come watch. Give you a few pointers. How about it? I gripped the torn pieces of my love letters so tightly. My knuckles turned completely white. Words rushed to the tip of my tongue. I was about to snap back, but as I looked around at the sea of mocking eyes, all just waiting for a show, I swallowed it down. Instead, I let out a laugh. I held the crushed letters high up in the air, waving them like a battle flag, and shouted for everyone to hear. Fine, the 100th confession. It's happening at the campus Central Plaza. December 3rd, at 9 in the morning. The whole school is welcome to bring their friends, and come watch. After dropping that bomb, I didn't even care how anyone reacted. With red eyes and gritted teeth, I held my head high and strode right out of there. I skipped my morning classes that day and went straight home instead. I let the faucet run until the basin was completely full, and without a second thought, I plunged my head into the water. I didn't push myself up from the counter until my lungs were absolutely screaming for air. Gasping heavily for fresh air, my mind, which had been clouded by dizzying anger, finally started to clear. I looked at my now calm face in the mirror, then took that thick stack of love letters and tore them to shreds, one by one. Then, I burned them to ashes and flushed every last bit down the drain. Over the weekend, the club group chat, which had been dead for ages, suddenly popped off with a new message. They said they wanted to get together. Since I needed to hand in my club withdrawal form anyway, I headed over. But the moment I pushed the door open, I saw Song Yaya, who never shows up to these kinds of things, actually making a rare appearance. I kept my eyes straight ahead and just pretended she wasn't there. I sat by myself in the corner. As soon as they saw me, a few of Meng Xiaoyan's buddies immediately started putting on a show. Hey, Xiaoyan, how did you get Yaya to actually come out today? Well, duh, it's obviously because Xiaoyan loves a good party. Everyone knows our campus queen only listens to whatever Xiaoyan says. I couldn't be bothered with their childish little games. I casually grabbed a few oranges and started peeling them. Once everyone had arrived, the club president announced that the games were starting. I wasn't really interested, but I got dragged into it anyway. I had to force myself to sit through this boring game of truth or dare. After playing 7 or 8 rounds, Song Yaya finally lost. Everyone started hooting and hollering with excitement. Oh my god, our campus queen pulled the card to kiss any guy in the room for 3 whole minutes. Hurry up, who are you picking to do the punishment with you? I knew she wouldn't pick me, and I honestly couldn't care less who she did pick. I just kept my head down, playing with the dice in my hand. And just as I expected, Song Yaya chose Meng Xiaoyan, but she had one specific request. She wanted all the lights in the room turned off. The room went completely pitch black. All you could hear was heavy breathing, and the occasional muffled whispers from the other club members. 3 minutes later, the lights flicked back on. Song Yaya sat down first. Meng Xiaoyan was left standing there completely frozen, looking pretty awful. Her lipstick was still perfectly intact. Song Yaya hadn't kissed him at all. I shot him a cold, indifferent glance just as I heard the president announce a new round. I casually tossed my 3 dice onto the table. Tough luck, 3 ones. The absolute lowest roll in the room. Without saying a single word, I drew a card from the pile. It was the exact same card as before. The exact same punishment. Suddenly, everyone in the room lit up with excitement. Their eyes started darting back and forth. Between me, Song Yaya, and Meng Xiaoyan, I acted like I didn't notice, and casually gave the game spinner a flick. The pointer landed right on one of the younger girls sitting across from me. For a split second, everyone thought I was going to back out, holding their breath in suspense. But without batting an eye, I stood up, walked straight over to her, and said in a totally nonchalant tone, "Sorry to drag you into this." She looked completely stunned. Just as she was about to stand up, Song Yaya suddenly shot up from her seat, violently knocking over her stool. Everyone froze in shock as she coldly cut in. "We've been playing for so long, I'm getting a little tired. It's about time we took a halftime break, right?" Her roommates quickly chimed in to agree, so the president had no choice but to put the punishments on hold. During the break, a few of the girls mentioned they were getting hungry. Her roommates immediately dragged the guys downstairs, saying they were going to go buy some food. They were gone for 20 whole minutes. Seeing that they weren't coming back anytime soon, the president didn't want to wait around anymore, and just announced that the game would continue. I put my phone down and looked around, only to realize that the junior girl was gone. Actually, to be exact, every single girl in the room except for Song Yaya had disappeared. I didn't even have to guess. I knew this was just another one of Song Yaya's deliberate setups. But I wasn't about to play into her hands. So, I grabbed the 500 milliliter glass of alcohol in front of me. I raised it to the room and announced, "Since my chosen partner has left, according to the rules, I'll just drink this to take my punishment." With that, I tipped my head back and downed the entire glass without even blinking. Song Yaya never expected I'd rather drink than pick her. Her face instantly turned black. She glared darkly at my flushed face, squeezing the dice in her hand so hard they cracked against each other. With half the people gone, the game lost its spark, and the party just naturally fizzled out. Feeling pretty drunk, I waited until everyone else had left before handing my club resignation letter to the president. I leaned heavily against the wall, trying to make my way downstairs. Just as I reached the landing, I hazily spotted Meng Xiaoyan standing not too far away. I wanted to just pretend I didn't see him and slip past. But he suddenly grabbed my arm, his eyes blazing with fury. When the lights came back on, "What the hell was that look you gave me?" Let me tell you something. Even if Yaya didn't kiss me, she had her reasons. It just proves how much she cherishes me. Cherishes you? I almost laughed out loud. But I knew that whatever I said right now, Meng Xiaoyan wouldn't listen to a single word of it. So, I just nodded. Yeah, whatever, you're completely right. I tried to brush his hand off and walk away, but Meng Xiaoyan just gripped me tighter, cursing at me and refusing to let it go. As we struggled, I was already dizzy on my feet. His violent yank completely threw off my balance, and I fell backward. I tumbled all the way down the steep staircase. Meng Xiaoyan panicked, lost his footing, and ended up rolling down the stairs right after me. Hearing the massive crash from upstairs, a few classmates who hadn't gone far quickly rushed back to see what happened. Seeing that both of us were pretty badly hurt, everyone completely panicked. In the end, it was Song Yaya who made the calls and had us both rushed to her family's hospital. After a quick exam, the doctor diagnosed it as a severe bone fracture. If not treated right away, there was a real risk of permanent disability. From the moment she found out we were hurt, her eyes hadn't left me for a single second, staring at my deathly pale face and the sweat pouring down my forehead. It was like she could feel my pain. Her heart was visibly aching for me. The operating room was all set up, but there was only one specialist in the entire hospital. Who could perform this kind of surgery right now? Song Yaya had to make the choice on who would go first. She instinctively looked over at me, and her eyes met my gaze. But my eyes no longer held that old, burning devotion. There was nothing left but a dead, hollow silence. That look made Song Yaya's heart violently skip a beat. "Miss, you need to decide right now. Who goes into surgery first?" I lay there on the stretcher, pale as a ghost. Just a second before I blacked out, I heard Yaya's voice ringing out, firmly saying that name. Meng Xiaoyan, save Meng Xiaoyan first. Soon enough, doctors wheeled him right into the operating room. The second those doors shut, I completely passed out. When I finally came to, a whole day had already passed. I opened my eyes, and my very first instinct was to reach down and feel my leg. And once I felt that I still had sensation, I finally let out a heavy sigh of relief. Tears of pure survival welled up in my eyes. Thank God, I wasn't crippled. My parents had rushed over the second they got the news, upgrading me to the top floor VIP ward and taking absolute care of me. Just 2 hours later, Meng Xiaoyan was admitted, right into the room across from mine. Yaya was right there, clinging to his arm as she walked him in. Supposedly for easier checkups. Both of our doors were left wide open. I had a crystal clear view of everything going on in his room. He just kept whining about the pain, and she would scramble for all sorts of topics to distract him. When the hospital food wasn't to his liking, she actually went all the way home to cook up a bunch of light meals just for him. He complained about being bored, so she brought in all sorts of fun, trendy little gadgets to keep him entertained. During those 10 or so days in the hospital, the two of them were so cozy that even the nurses started gossiping, whispering about whether the hospital director was finally getting a daughter-in-law. But deep down, I knew perfectly well, she was doing all of this just to put on a show for me. After all, I had tried closing that damn door 100 times. And every single time it shut, a nurse would instantly walk in for rounds. A 100% chance of that door ending up back open. There is no way that was just a coincidence. On the day I was finally discharged, I ran into the two of them down in the parking garage. The moment she saw me, Yaya made a big show of helping him out of his wheelchair and carefully settling him into the car. Sticking half his head out the window, he gave me this sickeningly fake smile. "Lu Zehao, I hear you live right across the hall from Yaya. Why don't we give you a ride?" I didn't even want to give him the time of day. I just got straight into my car without even looking up. By the time we pulled up to my apartment building, I politely turned down my parents' help, grabbing my crutches to head in alone. The elevator went from the basement to the first floor, and suddenly, the same Yaya who was supposed to be driving him home walked right in. We locked eyes for a split second, but neither of us said a word. The elevator dinged at the 17th floor. She was standing right by the door but refused to step out, so I had to hobble awkwardly around her with my crutches. I stepped out first. I was moving slow, but the person behind me was moving even slower. I could feel her eyes burning into my back the whole way. When I finally reached my door, I reached out to punch in my passcode, and one of my crutches suddenly slipped, clattering to the floor. I had to lean heavily against the wall, painfully squatting down. But just as my fingers brushed the crutch, a shadow fell over me. Yaya had crouched down right beside me. Maybe she was actually going to help me pick it up. But the absolute second our eyes met, she pulled her hand back, and just tied her own loose shoelace instead. I let out a dry, sarcastic chuckle. I grabbed the crutch myself, slowly dragged myself up, and went inside. I spent a long time resting at home, and before I knew it, finals week rolled around. Even though I was leaving the country soon anyway, my leg was finally well enough to walk on. So I didn't bother applying for an extension. I just went in to take my exams. But the lecture hall had way too many stairs, and my leg was still far from healed. I took a seat right in the middle of the front row. A few moments later, Song Yaya walked in, helping Meng Xiaoyan. The second he saw me, Meng Xiaoyan immediately started whining that his leg hurt, demanding to sit in the front row. So Song Yaya helped him to the seat right next to me, and then took the spot by the wall for herself. The exam started quickly. The exact second the professor stepped off the podium, Meng Xiaoyan tossed a crumpled piece of paper he had ready across the aisle, right onto my desk. My hand froze over my test paper. Before I could even process what was happening, the professor turned around and yelled at me. I stressed this over and over before the test. It is okay to get a bad grade, but your character must be clean. I said no cheating, yet you did it on purpose. Lu Zehao, your exam is voided. It was only then that I realized what Meng Xiaoyan was up to. But I wasn't about to just take the fall for this. I stood straight up to defend myself, demanding to check the security cameras. Unfortunately, because the building had a power outage that morning, the classroom cameras hadn't turned on in time. Seeing Meng Xiaoyan's face go from panic to a smug smirk, I felt sick to my stomach. Song Yaya was sitting right next to him. She saw everything. The professor didn't want to falsely accuse anyone, so he immediately called Song Yaya over. The university building was funded by the Song family, so she didn't need to suck up to anyone. She was known for being cold, aloof, and honest. Her word was basically law among the students and staff. After hearing what happened, Song Yaya glanced up at me, and said coldly, Meng Xiaoyan wasn't the one cheating. Those words instantly nailed my coffin. Professor Zhao believed her without hesitation. He glared at me. Lu Zehao, what else do you have to say for yourself? Cheating, refusing to admit it, and framing a classmate? You are absolutely hopeless. Were all your previous grades copied too? Whatever the case, I am reporting this. You'll be getting a university-wide disciplinary warning. I stood there, feeling like I'd been plunged into a freezing lake. I thought that when it came down to right and wrong, Song Yaya would stick to her principles. That's the only reason I brought her name up. I never thought that after watching the whole thing play out right in front of her, she would actually commit perjury to protect him. At that point, any defense was just a waste of breath. I choked back my tears, gave Song Yaya one long, hard look, and walked out without a word. Seeing my bloodshot eyes, Song Yaya suddenly panicked. She reflexively chased after me and blocked my path. Lu Zehao, look, I know Xiao Yan was in the wrong here, but he has thin skin. I just didn't want people gossiping about him. Not even a single I'm sorry. Just making pathetic excuses for Meng Xiaoyan. I really started to wonder if the photo I saw the other day was just a fever dream. I looked at her and let out a bitter laugh, my voice shaking with pure rage. So that's your excuse for helping him frame me? He can't handle the gossip. But I'm supposed to just take it, is that it? Song Yaya, do you think just because I confessed my feelings to you 99 times, my skin is as thick as a brick wall? That I'm so invincible I don't care about my reputation? Seeing me snap like this, Song Yaya flinched and grabbed my hand. That's not what I meant. It's just one test. You can always make up the credits. Make it up? You don't even like me. Make up for it how? Hearing my sarcastic tone, Song Yaya immediately panicked. She almost blurted out what she was really thinking. Who said I don't like? But as soon as the words left her mouth, she realized her slip-up and quickly stopped herself. Just trust me. Wait for your 100th confession. I'll make it all up to you. Song Yaya was practically spelling out that she would finally say yes. The old her would never have let slip this many clues. But right now, she was just losing her head out of sheer panic. Having long since gone totally numb to her, I coldly brushed her hand away. Then keep crossing off the days on your calendar, and wait for that final day. Seeing me pull my hand back, Song Yaya froze. Her tone finally softened a bit. Okay, just 3 more days. I promise I'll give you an answer you'll be happy with. 3 days before my departure, the apartment I'd had on the market for over half a month finally sold. I'll be moving out in 3 days. I'll have everything packed up and the place completely cleaned out by then, so the new owners can move right in. After the real estate agent noted down the date, I walked him to the elevator. As the doors slid open, Song Yaya stepped out, carrying 2 shopping bags. She stared at the agent for a long moment, then politely greeted him. The agent gave a bewildered nod. Once the elevator went down, I turned around and started to walk away. Wait, Song Yaya suddenly called out, holding out one of the bags to me. I was just passing by. I bought way too much and can't finish it all. Do you want to have some? I took one look and realized it was my absolute favorite candied fruit. That specific shop was all the way on the east side of town. A round trip took over 2 hours, plus another hour just waiting in line. She had clearly gone out of her way to buy my favorite snack, and made up a lame excuse to bring it over. It was obvious she was just trying to apologize for what happened yesterday. But I didn't need her apologies anymore. Without saying a single word, I took the bag from her. As soon as I got inside, I tossed it. The bag of candied fruit traced an arc through the air, and landed perfectly straight into the trash can. 2 days before I was set to leave, I took a trip to the print shop. I spent a few $1,000 to print out 10,000 A5-sized cards. Then, I headed back to my college dorm, and asked my roommates for a favor, to sneak up to the roof of the main building on the 3rd of the month, and scatter all these cards over the square. The guys already knew what had been going on lately. Thinking I was still desperately clinging on, they immediately started trying to talk me out of it. Zehao, man, why don't you just let it go? After everything Song Yaya has done to you, why do you keep torturing yourself like this? Yeah, bro, she's honestly gone way too far. Your feelings for her deserve way better than this. Even though I was completely over it by now, hearing my friends care about me so much still brought a rush of warmth to my chest. I smiled and shook my head. Don't worry about me, guys. I know what I'm doing. Just do me this favor and drop them from the roof. I've already paid a cleaning crew to handle the mess afterward. And for the record, I'm not planning to confess to her. What I'm really doing is saying goodbye. Hearing this, guys totally froze. They just stood there, looking at each other in shock. I just said thanks one more time, turned around, and walked away. As they watched me fade into the distance, my roommates popped open the cardboard box. They pulled out one of the cards. There was only a single sentence printed on it. Zehao will never, ever love Song Yaya again. One day before I was set to leave, after going to campus and finalizing all my paperwork, I went back to the apartment and finally started packing my bags. I had only been living there for 6 months. There wasn't much stuff, but most of it had to do with Song Yaya. I threw it all in. The scarf I spent half a month knitting for her. I cut it to pieces. The ceramic vase she donated at the charity sale, the one I tried so hard to win back at the auction, was now smashed into tiny pieces. Every single love letter I stayed up late writing for her, I shoved right into the shredder. The moment I tossed that box into the dumpster, everything between me and Song Yaya became a thing of the past. Finally, only 2 outfits were left in the house. It was the shirt she wore the very first time we met. Along with those baggy black jeans, I struck a match and burned them to ashes. I stood up. As soon as I turned around, I saw Song Yaya standing just a few steps away. She was giving me this weird look. What on earth are you doing? Just clearing out some useless trash. I said it flatly, then turned around and went upstairs. On the day I was supposed to leave, I was woken up at the crack of dawn by a bunch of noise across the hall. I groggily opened my eyes, grabbing my phone to check the time. Notifications were blowing up my screen. It took me a good minute to realize that all the messages were coming from a group chat of about 20 people. A year ago, to figure out what Song Yaya liked, I had secretly snuck into this group, and just forgot to ever leave it. Song Yaya had no idea I was in there, either. And the ones chatting up a storm so early in the morning were her roommates. Yaya, you're up so early. Don't tell me you were too excited to sleep all night. Duh, she's been tossing and turning since 11 last night. Are you really gonna say yes to Zehao's confession this time? Scrolling down, my thumb froze. For once, Song Yaya had actually typed out a massive paragraph. It's not about saying yes. The feelings are mutual, as getting together is just meant to be. Stop asking stupid questions and just help me pick out an outfit for today. She spammed the chat with dozens of outfit photos, and the group instantly blew up. Going all out, huh? Is this really our icy campus queen who never gives guys the time of day? Do you really like this Zehao guy that much? Amidst all the teasing, Song Yaya just replied with one short sentence. I really do. He's the only one for me. Staring at those words, I actually couldn't help but laugh out loud. I leaned back against the headboard, watching the sky grow brighter outside my window, as countless memories flashed through my mind. Reading the words, I really do, again, the whole thing felt like some absurd, twisted O. Henry ending. She likes me, so she rejected my 99 confessions? And just let me become a massive laughingstock for everyone? She likes me, so she gave me the cold shoulder, and purposely got cozy with other guys just to make me jealous? She likes me, so she completely twisted the truth to ruin my reputation? And trampled all over my genuine feelings? If that's her version of liking someone, I sure as hell can't afford it, and I want absolutely nothing to do with it. The girls who lived on campus sent a few photos of the scene. It was barely past 7, but the plaza was already packed with people. From all over campus, both teachers and students were there. Some people were even setting up stalls to sell water, peanuts, and grilled sausages. So many people showed up. They're all here to watch Zehao's 100th confession. Yaya, get over here, hurry. Don't let the confession start. Without the leading lady being able to squeeze through the crowd, I guess loving a good spectacle really is just human nature. I was just about to close the app, when I saw a new message, from Song Yaya. I'm getting ready to head out. What about you? I'm getting ready to head out too. Only, I'm getting ready to leave for good. Suddenly, I really wished I could see Song Yaya down on the field witnessing all of that. What expression she'd have when the cards rain down, and how she'd feel after finding out I've left the country. Too bad I won't be there to see it. From today onward, Song Yaya's life is none of my business anymore. I took my sweet time getting up and changing clothes, then headed to the bathroom to wash up. Once all that was done, I finally took my milk and bread out of the microwave, eating while packing up the last of my luggage. Once the luggage was all packed, the whole house felt completely empty. I turned back to look at the empty room, then took out my phone and found every number and account linked to Song Yaya, and blocked every single one. I felt a sense of relief like never before. Ready to sprint toward my bright, brand new life. It was 5 minutes to 9. The square was packed with people, totally jammed. Even the security guards had to come out to keep order. Looking down at the massive, buzzing sea of people, my roommates were pretty blown away. Their voices were full of excitement. Man, look at all these people. I bet what's about to happen will spread across the whole campus in no time. That's exactly what we want. Yeah, so nobody talks crap behind Housy's back after he's gone. They were all chattering away over each other. Before long, it was 8:59. The dorm head got the text that I made it safely to the airport, and immediately rolled up his sleeves, saying, "Housy's there. Come on, let's get to work. Those dropping the cards, and those taking pictures, look alive. We have to make sure he sees this grand spectacle before he boards that plane." Right as he finished speaking, the 9 o'clock alarm went off. 2 guys took their spots on the left and right, and pushed the stacks of cards that had been resting on the windowsill right off the edge. Instantly, white cards fell from the 16th floor rooftop, dancing and spinning down like snowflakes. Down in the square, some nearsighted student yelled out, "It's snowing," and everyone immediately looked up. As the cards neared the ground, people scrambled on their tiptoes to grab them, wanting to see what was written on them. Meanwhile, right in the dead center of the square, Song Yaya was craning her neck, looking up too. Her girls watched the huge spectacle, flicking their tongues in amazement. There's gotta be like 10,000 cards falling from up there. Zehao really poured his heart into this, huh? Well, I mean, look at how popular Yaya is. If he didn't make a huge scene like this, how else would he claim his territory and scare off his rivals? True, but what exactly is written on these papers anyway? Zehao's love letters were always written so beautifully. Don't tell me these are 10,000 handwritten love letters? Honestly, with Zehao's patience and dedication, it's highly possible. Let me catch one and see for myself. Hearing her friends' jealous, admiring voices, Song Yaya's heart was totally filled with anticipation. She reached up, caught a card, and flipped it over with a smile. But the second she saw the words, her expression instantly froze. Her friends leaned in, ready to tease her, but the moment they caught a glimpse of the words, their eyes went wide, and they started stammering out of shock. This can't be right. This has to be a mistake. In her hand was a card with identical printed text. Zehao will never, ever like Song Yaya again. Now they were totally panicking, hastily snatching a few more cards from the bystanders next to them. But once she got her hands on it and read the words, the dread in her heart just kept growing deeper. How is this possible? Wasn't this supposed to be a confession? Is someone messing around on purpose? The crowd of onlookers was already getting loud. Oh snap, Zehao will never, ever like Song Yaya again. So it wasn't a confession after all. All that effort to make a huge scene. Now the whole school knows. This is epic. With Zehao gone, finally, no one's gonna be pestering our school beauty anymore. Song Yaya's face, amidst the relentless waves of mocking gossip, slowly drained of all color. She felt like something was heavily suffocating her chest. Her brain felt starved of oxygen, leaving her mind completely blank. She looked up at the rooftop, where the flyers were still raining down. Shock and panic completely took over her eyes. In the plaza, thousands of people were standing on their tiptoes, dying to see her reaction. And she didn't let them down. She threw the papers to the ground and aggressively stormed toward the main building. The eager crowd of spectators hurried right after her, up on the roof, after tossing down the very last stack of cards. Alright boys, let's wrap it up. But the moment they walked down to the 15th floor, they ran face to face into Song Yaya. She had sprinted all the way up, flanked by her girlfriends. Seeing them, she immediately blocked the hallway. But facing this fierce, aggressive group of girls, the guys weren't fazed in the slightest. Well, if it isn't the beloved campus queen of Qing University. Didn't you say how just wasn't good enough for you? So why'd you bother crashing such a boring scene? Hearing his sarcastic, mocking tone, Song Yaya's hands fiercely clenched into fists. Her face instantly darkened. These things, did you guys just take it upon yourselves to throw these? Hearing the words, take it upon yourselves, all 3 guys burst into uncontrollable laughter. Us? As if we'd dare. Hao paid top dollar to print these out himself, and busted his ass hauling them all the way to campus. At best, we're just the delivery boys for his breakup letters. Hearing that this was truly my own doing, the students gathered below started whispering among themselves. I thought Song Yaya didn't even like Zehao? Now that the guy's finally given up, She's actually acting salty about it? What do you know? This is what happens when the untouchable goddess gets dragged off her pedestal. She's about to enter her desperate groveling era. If you ask me, if she's regretting it now. Then what the hell was she doing the first 99 times? Right then, the words felt like sharp blades to Song Yaya, brutally slashing through her long-held confidence. For the past 2 years, she honestly thought she knew me inside out. She thought she could easily manipulate my every thought and move. And for a while, just as she expected, the first 99 confessions played out exactly how she wanted. She figured everything would naturally conclude on the 100th try, and that we would finally wrap up our story with a perfect, happy ending. But instead, right when she felt completely sure of her victory, he publicly humiliated her in front of the whole world, delivering one absolutely fatal blow. She could no longer keep up her usual act, that cold, detached, untouchable persona she always wore. Her true colors were completely exposed. She tightly gripped the staircase railing, her voice frantic and laced with absolute panic. "Where is he?" My dorm president looked at her pale face, a deeply satisfied, mocking smirk spreading across his lips. He raised his hands and mimicked a bird flapping its wings. The grand finale is over. So obviously, he flew away. The moment Song Yaya heard those last 2 words, her heart literally stopped for a few seconds. Flew away. What does that mean? A sickening sense of dread suddenly washed over her. She shoved past the guys blocking her way and desperately sprinted toward the rooftop. The rooftop was completely empty. Not a single soul in sight. But the hallways and elevators were packed with people. There's no way Zehao could have made it down. Did he not even come to school today? Once that thought hit her, Song Yaya's memories started racing backwards. Thinking back to last night, downstairs. When she saw Zehao for the very last time, she finally realized what was wrong. Zehao orchestrated all of this. Logically, he should have left early in the morning to get everything ready. But since last night, there hadn't been a single sound from the apartment across the hall. Either, he left the building after she did, or, he never planned on showing up at school in the first place. He spent so much time and energy trying to get back at her, but he didn't even want to see it happen with his own eyes. But why? Song Yaya just couldn't figure it out. She was terrified, overwhelmed by a sense of helpless panic. Completely beside herself, she drove straight back to her apartment, desperate to find Zehao and demand some answers. But the moment she reached her own front door, she noticed the door across the hall was cracked open. She raised her hand and knocked. It was dead silent inside. No sign of anyone. That unnatural silence made Song Yaya instinctively frown. Just as she was about to push it open and look inside, a man's voice suddenly called out from behind her. "Oh, are you the neighbor from across the hall? Hello there, I'm the new tenant moving into 1705. It's great to meet you." Hearing those numbers, Song Yaya subconsciously glanced at the nameplate on the door. The next second, she froze in place, stiff as a statue. She turned around numbly, her eyes locked dead onto him. 1705. New tenant. What about the guy who used to live here? The guy wiped the sweat from his face, his eyes lighting up with excitement. "Oh, he moved out first thing this morning. Did you know him? Could you maybe give me his contact info? He seemed like he was in a massive hurry to leave. He listed this apartment for super cheap, and I managed to snag it." I really wanted to thank him. Those few short sentences completely short-circuited Song Yaya's brain. She stood there in an absolute daze for a long time. Then, snapping out of it, she shoved past him and threw the cracked door wide open. The apartment was completely empty. Apart from the basic furniture, there wasn't a single personal belonging left. It was as spotlessly clean as a brand new house. Song Yaya had no idea how she even made it back to her own apartment. By the time she came to her senses, she realized she had collapsed on the floor in the entryway. Her legs had gone completely numb from squatting there. Pulling out her phone, she found Zehao's chat. With trembling hands, she typed out a message. "Why did you move out?" But the moment she hit send, a little red exclamation mark popped up on the screen, along with the dreaded "not friends" warning. That piercing red burned into her eyes, making her stare blankly at the screen for a few seconds. Then, refusing to believe it, she frantically fired off a few more messages, only to be met with a barrage of the same blocked warnings. Staring down at her phone screen, she felt like she was choking. She could barely breathe. Right at that moment, her phone suddenly rang, and through the speaker came her roommate's frantic, panicked voice. "Yaya, Zehao left for Italy. I just checked the exchange student list on the bulletin board, and his name is on it." Those words struck like a massive bolt of lightning. A violent, crashing wave of shock ripped through Song Yaya's chest. She tried to grab onto the cabinet to pull herself up, but her sore, numb legs completely gave out, and she just collapsed face first onto the ground. Right before she completely blacked out, her last fading thought was a single line she had stared at countless times today, one that was already burned into her heart. Zehao will never, ever love Song Yaya again. And Song Yaya finally woke up, she realized 3 whole days had passed. Her friends crowded around her hospital bed, letting out a massive sigh of relief. Then they started chattering away, filling her in on everything that happened while she was knocked out. From what they heard, Zehao actually touched down in Italy 3 days ago. But he hasn't been able to finish his enrollment over there. Word is, right after the list came out, someone reported him to the university, claiming he cheated on his recent exams. They're demanding his study abroad spot be revoked. And if that gets cancelled, then he's probably coming right back. Yaya, you don't need to worry. He's not getting away from you. Song Yaya's heart skipped a massive beat, her eyes snapping wide open. He went to Italy? Exam cheating? Spot revoked? Coming back? Before she could even process this massive bombshell, a heavy knock echoed from the door. The prestigious Professor Lu from Qing University walked in, his face dark as a storm cloud. He glared coldly at the girl in the hospital bed. The sheer, unspoken authority radiating off him made it terrifying to even look at him. So, you're Song Yaya. I heard you were the one who testified in the plagiarism case between Zehao and Meng Xiaoyan. I need a word with you. Hearing that tone, her roommates didn't dare to stick around and immediately bolted from the room. Watching the door slowly click shut, Song Yaya lifted her chin just a little. Yes, I am. Getting the confirmation he expected. Fury instantly flared up across Professor Lu's face. Zehao told me you committed perjury. How dare you lie about something this serious? Do you have any idea what kind of damage this will do to his future? Because he's taking the fall for this plagiarism, he is going to lose his exchange student spot. Add that to the massive internet backlash he got because of you last time. His entire life is going to be destroyed by your hands. Yes, he had feelings for you. But honestly ask yourself, in the past 2 years, has he ever done a single thing to hurt you? Did you really have to push him to a dead end? If you have even a shred of basic human decency left, you will go straight to the university right now and tell them the truth. Hearing his furious words, Song Yaya's head started spinning. She broke into an absolute panic. Back then, she was just mad that Lu Zehao didn't pick her at the club party. She was just being petty, lying about the evidence to force him to come crawling back to her. She never expected it to trigger this massive chain reaction. She didn't even dare to imagine what would happen. If things spiraled exactly like Professor Lu said, how bad would it really get? If she genuinely ruined Lu Zehao's future. Knowing his personality, he would absolutely hate her guts for the rest of his life. Going from lovers to bitter enemies? Song Yaya would literally rather die than let that happen. She struggled to pull herself out of bed. She had to go to the university with Professor Lu and clear everything up right now. Professor Lu had already called the head of the disciplinary board ahead of time. Right to the faces of the design school dean and Mr. Zhao. Song Yaya officially testified that Meng Xiaoyan was the one who plagiarized. Meng Xiaoyan was totally blindsided by her sudden betrayal. He instantly panicked, crying hysterically and swearing it wasn't him. Song Yaya gave a cold, deadpan look at Meng Xiaoyan, who was still wailing about being framed. She just unlocked her phone and pulled up a photo. This is a handwritten letter Meng Xiaoyan gave me a while ago. My family is bringing the physical original over right now. You can compare the handwriting on this letter to the cheating cheat sheet. Hearing her say that, Meng Xiaoyan's face violently contorted in sheer horror. He stumbled forward a few steps, crying so hard his voice was completely raw. Yaya, have you forgotten that we grew up together? This whole thing is in the past. Why did you have to lie? Song Yaya looked at how he was still trying to deny everything, even with all the hard evidence right in front of him. A flash of disgust crossed her eyes. I never even liked you. I was just putting on an act before. And now, I'm done playing along, so of course I'm not going to cover for you anymore. Since you did it, you need to take full responsibility for your own actions. The disciplinary committee immediately held a meeting and decided to issue a school-wide announcement to clear the air. Because of the severe negative impact, Meng Xiaoyan was expelled from the university. The incident was also permanently recorded in his file. By the time everything was completely settled, it was already dark outside. Song Yaya walked out, leaning against the wall for support. She called out to stop Professor Lu. Professor Lu, does he know about everything that happened back here? Even though the situation had been perfectly resolved, Professor Lu was still furious and couldn't even stand to look at her. He was about to get expelled, how could he not know? Is something wrong with your head? Song Yaya felt even worse, but she still wanted to try and explain herself. Now that everything's resolved, is he going to come back? Professor Lu shot her a harsh glare. He's better off staying away so he doesn't have to suffer anymore. If I had known he'd been foolish enough to fall for someone like you, I would have talked some sense into him right from the start. When you're looking for a partner, you really need to keep your eyes wide open. When I got Professor Lu's call telling me that everything was fine, I was sunbathing on the beach. I have no idea how my professor managed to make Song Yaya spill the truth, and honestly, I didn't even want to pry. I just sincerely expressed my deepest gratitude to him. 3 days ago, I had arrived in Italy. I was planning to just get my enrollment sorted right away, but the university called back home to verify my background. They suddenly told me there was an issue with my admission spot, and it had to be put on hold. I asked my buddies back home and found out someone had reported me. So, I reached out to Professor Lu to explain the whole situation. and asked him to help me figure something out, even though Professor Liu is a highly respected figure at Tsinghua University. I knew this kind of mess was hard to clear up, so I was fully braced for the worst. Gotta admit, ever since I met Song Yaya, my ability to handle stress has seriously leveled up. Facing the very real threat of getting completely expelled, I just sort of let it go. I completely brushed it off. I was even in a good enough mood to buy an overnight ticket for a little getaway by the Aegean Sea. Humming a happy tune, I dropped a huge red envelope of cash into my friends' group chat. Thanks for all the help lately, guys. Everything's been completely sorted out. Once my 3 years are up, I'll treat you all to a massive dinner when I get back. I'll thank you all in person then. My roommates knew I was always generous, so they didn't hesitate at all. They snatched up the red envelopes right away. Seeing a screen full of blowing kiss emojis raining down, I couldn't help but smile. I was just so glad to have met such great friends and a professor like him. I stood up and stretched my back. The warm sunlight poured down, making me feel incredibly cozy. This time around, the enrollment process went perfectly smoothly. There weren't any more hiccups. Looking at the thick stack of stamped documents, and my brand new student ID card in my hands, a deeply satisfied smile spread across my face. Before coming here, I had my family buy a cozy little apartment right near the university. I grabbed my suitcases and headed straight over. But when I finally reached my destination, I stared at the steep flight of stairs in front of me. I tried lifting my heavy suitcase and let out a long, defeated sigh. I was just debating whether I should pay someone to help me haul it up, when suddenly, a beautiful female voice called out from the side. I turned toward the voice and saw her, a gorgeous, young blonde girl with striking blue eyes. She asked me in English if I needed any help, and I quickly nodded. The gorgeous girl grabbed my luggage and helped me carry it up the stairs, chatting with me the whole way up. By the time we reached my apartment door, we had just finished introducing ourselves. I bowed slightly to thank her, but she just held out her red, chafed hands for me to see. And she joked with a sweet smile. I helped you out, so just saying, thank you, probably isn't enough, right? If you don't mind, could you write your phone number on my hand? I hesitated for a few seconds, but I still took the pen. And I wrote down a long string of numbers on her slender, beautiful hand. After moving into my new apartment, I spent the next few days working non-stop. I finally got my place all set up. The next morning, I headed out bright and early. Even though I'd spent my free time wandering around campus over the past few days, the school was just too massive. And all the buildings looked exactly the same, so I still managed to get lost. I was running out of time and was just about to find someone to ask for directions. And someone suddenly tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, and there she was, the gorgeous girl who had helped me out a few days ago. Alice was smiling brightly as she said hi, and we gave each other a quick high five. Alice asked me what I was spacing out for, so I honestly told her about my little predicament. When she heard I was looking for the auditorium, she immediately said she was heading there too, and offered to show me the way. We walked together through the maze-like campus, chatting and laughing the whole time. After winding around for about 10 minutes, Alice pointed to the building right in front of us and said we were here. I pulled out my phone to double-check, and it was an exact match with the picture my senior sent me. I quickly waved and thanked Alice. The welcome orientation lasted for 2 whole hours. By the time I walked out of the auditorium, my back was aching. I was just trying to figure out what to do for lunch when someone suddenly popped up right in front of me. It was Alice, smiling and saying hello, asking what my plans were for lunch. I was already stressing over it, and she could totally tell I was struggling. She smiled, recommended a restaurant, and asked if I wanted to go with her. I gladly agreed and followed her off campus. But when we got to the front door of the restaurant, I realized it was a Chinese restaurant. A hint of confusion must have flashed in my eyes. You want to take me out for Chinese food? Are you used to eating it? I heard international students sometimes have a hard time getting used to the food here. I wanted us to have a really nice meal today. Plus, I really wanted to try some Chinese food. So, that's why I picked this place. I didn't expect her to be so sweet and considerate, and I definitely didn't want to turn down her kind gesture. So I smiled back at her and said, alright, let's do this place then. Since this is my home cuisine, I guess I'm half the host. Let me treat you to this meal. I hope I can give you an amazing first experience with real Chinese food. I grabbed the menu, and seeing that Alice seemed super interested in all the dishes, I went through and explained them to her one by one. We ended up ordering 5 dishes. Honestly, thanks to her bubbly and sweet personality, lunch was an absolute blast. We talked all about the cultural differences between the East and the West, and shared a bunch of funny things that had been happening around campus lately. We got close pretty fast. After we finished our lunch, Alice even walked me all the way back to my apartment. Right before we said goodbye, she gave me this slightly sad look, and very politely asked me out. This weekend, would you do me the honor of joining me for some afternoon tea? Getting asked out by such a beautiful girl, I instantly said yes without missing a beat. The weekend brought us some incredibly beautiful weather. Alice and I were chatting away at a lovely garden cafe, while a flock of white doves fluttered by the lake. A feather fluttered down and landed in my hair. When Alice noticed, she smiled and leaned in to brush it off. We were so close, that from a distance, it must have looked incredibly intimate. I looked up at her, my eyes full of laughter. But just as the word thanks left my lips, I caught something out of the corner of my eye. My gaze instantly froze. Standing right there by the door was a woman with a bandage wrapped around her forehead, looking completely exhausted and haggard. Why the hell did she look exactly like Song Yaya? But before I could even get a closer look, she was already storming over, aggressive and furious. She glared down at me with bloodshot eyes and demanded, "Who is she?" Hearing that all too familiar voice, I knew for a fact it was Song Yaya, even though I had no idea how she found out I was here. Her sudden appearance didn't surprise me at all. I knew she'd track me down to Italy eventually. After all, in Song Yaya's eyes, I was nothing but her easy prey. There was no way she was just going to let me slip right through her fingers. I had prepared myself for this reunion a long time ago. So, facing her completely unhinged attitude, I stayed incredibly calm. "Just a new friend," I said flatly. "Can I help you? A friend? What kind of friend? A girlfriend, is that it?" As she spat out those last few words, Song Yaya was practically grinding her teeth. She never in a million years imagined this. She had dragged her severely injured body halfway across the world, flying thousands of miles just to explain herself and confess everything to me. And instead, she catches me on a date with another woman. I had only been out of the country for a few days. And I already had someone new. Hadn't I been obsessed with her for 2 years? Hadn't I been rejected 99 times without ever giving up? Didn't we agree that on the 100th time, we'd finally be together? Why was I suddenly backing out? Why was I breaking my promise? As that realization hit her, the burning rage in Song Yaya's chest flared out of control. Her voice was dripping with absolute agony. "Did you forget?" But I wasn't about to let her drag up the past. I cut her off right there. "Look, chasing after you wasn't exactly my proudest moment. So what if I forgot? Shouldn't I have? Honestly, other than a pretty face, you don't really have much going for you." I got bored. I wanted a change of scenery. "Do I need your permission for that too?" Those few words completely choked the life out of Song Yaya. She stared at me in pure disbelief, her eyes swimming with absolute shock. "Zehao, what the hell happened to you these past few days? We had a deal." "I've been doing great actually," I interrupted smoothly. "Eating well, sleeping well. Thanks to you, I finally have the time to travel and enjoy life." "But you suddenly showing up here? Yeah, that's kind of a buzzkill. So, if you catch my drift, do me a favor and walk out of this cafe. To be perfectly honest, you're ruining a lovely meal with a gorgeous woman." I tossed those words out lightly, acting as if it were the most natural thing in the world. My icy, dismissive attitude made Song Yaya's already terrible complexion turn a deadly shade of pale. It finally hit her. She had completely and utterly lost control over me. She started to panic. She frantically grabbed my hand, her words spilling out in an incoherent, desperate mess. "I shouldn't have played with your feelings. I'm so sorry, Zehao. Please, just forgive me. Give me one more chance, please." But to me, her apology sounded completely empty and pathetic. I was humiliated and rejected in public 99 times. Did she really think one pathetic, sorry, was going to wipe the slate clean? What a totally delusional joke. I looked down at her faintly trembling hands. I raised an eyebrow, my tone dripping with sarcasm. "I couldn't possibly accept an apology from the school beauty. Don't worry, we're nothing but strangers from now on. And you don't have to worry about me bothering you ever again." Seeing the absolute certainty in my eyes, Song Yaya knew I wasn't joking around. Panic washed over her, and her grip unconsciously tightened, grabbing my arm so hard I winced. Alice, who couldn't understand a word of our conversation, initially thought we were just old friends catching up. But seeing things take a turn for the worse, and noticing my arm turning red from her grip, she quickly stood up to help me pull away. To the already panicking Song Yaya, this felt like a direct provocation. Without a second thought, she slapped Alice's hands away, pushing her back a few steps. Song Yaya glared at her coldly, then grabbed me and tried to drag me away. Alice leaned against the wall to steady herself. Seeing how much I was resisting, she immediately charged right back at her. She delivered a swift spinning kick straight to Song Yaya's face, and in an instant, the two of them were brawling on the ground. The once peaceful and quiet corner of the garden erupted into absolute chaos. Tables and chairs were knocked over, leaving a total mess everywhere. Even the decorative potted plants nearby were smashed to pieces. Terrified of getting caught in the crossfire, the other customers quickly rushed out the door. The shop owner on the second floor immediately called the police. Since we were right in the middle of the city center, the cops arrived very quickly, pulling the two furious women apart. They were both taken straight to the police station. The gauze on Song Yaya's head had been completely ripped off during the fight, exposing a ghastly wound that made the police officers wince just looking at it. They naturally assumed Alice had been beating up an injured patient. Alice frantically tried to defend herself, but the battered and bruised Song Yaya wasn't backing down either, stubbornly insisting that Alice threw the first punch. The two of them screamed at each other for ages, almost bursting the office's eardrums. without being able to figure out who was actually at fault, and completely out of options. The officer had no choice but to turn to a third party, the only eyewitness to the scene. He turned to me, Zehao, for help. "Excuse me, sir, could you please describe exactly what happened at the scene?" Hearing this question, both women immediately spun around, locking their desperate, pleading eyes entirely on me. Ever since the fight broke out, I had stepped far away to the side, just to avoid getting accidentally injured. I hadn't said a single word to try and stop them. But now, unable to stay out of it any longer, I didn't even hesitate. I raised my hand, pointed straight at Song Yaya, and without even blinking an eye, I said, "She's the one who pushed her first." Hearing those words, Song Yaya completely froze in place, unable to believe that I had just turned her in. She stared at me in absolute panic, her voice violently trembling. I only shoved her. She's the one who started hitting me first. Zehao, why would you?" Her words came to a dead halt. Something suddenly clicked in her mind, and in an instant, she realized exactly why I was doing this. Zehao was getting revenge. He wanted her to taste exactly what it felt like to be falsely accused and forced to take the blame. The moment that reality set in, she couldn't utter another word. Her chest tightened so painfully she could barely breathe. The police officer didn't understand a word of her Chinese, and asked if I could translate for him. Instead, I completely cut off any ties with her right then and there. Alice and I were just having a meal together. This woman barged right in and started causing a scene, I explained. She tried to drag me away against my will, and then she shoved my friend. That's why the fight broke out. Upon hearing that, the very last shred of hope in Song Yaya's heart completely shattered. She parted her lips, her voice completely hoarse and broken. You're never going to take my side ever again, are you?" He gave her a sidelong glance and let out a cold laugh. "I'm an honest guy. I only stand on the side of the truth." But Song Yaya still wouldn't give up, pressing me with another question. "What if she had pushed me first today? Would you still tell the honest truth? Isn't it obvious? You and I are nothing to each other. Are we even close?" Alice is younger and a bit sensitive. Of course I'm going to look out for my friend. Dropping those words, I didn't even bother to see her reaction. I just turned around and walked away. With the testimonies, plus the security footage they quickly pulled up, the truth came out in no time. Since Song Yaya was a foreigner causing a public disturbance, she got detained. I waited for Alice to come out, and gave her both my thanks and my apologies. She just waved it off, not taking her minor scrapes to heart at all. Instead, she mentioned that our date got ruined today, and wanted to invite me out again next week. I gave it some careful thought. Even though Alice is undeniably gorgeous, judging from how things went down today, she doesn't seem quite mature or level-headed enough. And I know Song Yaya won't just let this go. I didn't want to drag Alice into my mess, and I certainly didn't want to end up at the police station again. I could tell she had feelings for me, but I'm way past the point of acting on impulse now. So, in the end, I politely turned her down. Meanwhile, Song Yaya had to pull a lot of strings. Before she finally got someone to bail her out, she wandered aimlessly through the streets all alone, not knowing where to go. Every time she thought about everything that had happened lately, it felt like her heart was being roasted over an open flame. It was pure agony. Overwhelming waves of regret crashed into her, swallowing her whole. She desperately wished she could go back to the moment of my 99th confession, and just agree to be with me right then and there. If she had just shown her true feelings, none of this crazy drama would have ever happened. I wouldn't have given up on her, and we could have finally been together. But the freezing midnight wind and rain shattered her delusions. Watching the endless drizzle, she finally realized that we were past the point of no return. Even so, she still refused to give up. She had secretly loved me for 2 years, waited for 2 years. And there was no way she was letting all those hopes go to waste. She swore she'd do whatever it took to win me back. Just like how I chased her, she wanted to show me 100 different gestures of love. Just to earn my forgiveness. Just once. Just that one time would be enough. Over the next couple of weeks, I didn't see Song Yaya at all. My life finally got back on track. Alice actually asked me out twice after that. But after I turned her down, things between us just kind of fizzled out. I didn't shed any tears over the brief fling, either. I just focused on my classes, and lived a pretty fulfilling life. Being in a foreign country, and knowing my way around a kitchen meant I fit right in with the international student crowd. But just as I was starting to forget Song Yaya even existed, she suddenly showed up again. She ambushed me on campus with truckloads of roses and balloons. Feeling the curious stares from everyone around us, I was honestly just completely speechless. But Song Yaya didn't even care how annoyed I looked. She just seized the moment and poured out everything she'd been keeping inside. Zehao, if I chased you 100 times too, would you be willing to give me another chance? If it had been me from a few months ago hearing that, I probably would have cried my eyes out from being so moved. But the current me? Not only did I feel absolutely nothing, the whole thing just gave me major goosebumps. What kind of cheesy soap opera was this? The lines were so cringe they actually hurt. Was I completely out of my mind back then? I can't believe I pulled off those public confessions so many times. Looking back at it all, I don't even feel an ounce of regret anymore. It's honestly just embarrassing to think about. If I could go back in time, I would definitely slap some sense into the idiot who fell for Song Yaya at first sight. I'd expose her true colors right then and there. I wouldn't let myself look like a fool for that long. 2 years. Over 700 days. Wasted on someone who wasn't worth it at all. What a damn shame. While I was standing there, lost in my own thoughts, I completely tuned out whatever she was saying. After waiting forever for an answer, Song Yaya started to panic. She looked around nervously, shifting on her feet, wondering if she had done something wrong. But after looking herself over, she couldn't find anything out of place, so she just stared at me anxiously. But the second she looked down, I completely ignored her gaze, turned around, and started waving at someone in the distance. With a genuinely excited tone, I called out, "Hey, Yaya, Weiyan, where are you guys headed?" Seeing this, Song Yaya followed my gaze, and realized I was greeting someone else entirely. Being treated like she didn't even exist made Song Yaya's blood run cold. All the color drained from her face, leaving her completely humiliated. She practically forced the words through her teeth, desperately trying to get my attention back. Zehao. But before she could even finish her sentence, the girl named Yaya walked over, sounding incredibly warm and familiar. "We're heading out to go camping, Zehao. Wanna come with us? It's a beautiful day out." I didn't have any other plans for the weekend, and I had this massive headache of a person standing right in front of me. So, I had absolutely zero reason to say no. I agreed right away and smiled, asking what they had planned for the night. Neither of us gave Song Yaya so much as a passing glance. Watching our group slowly walk away, Song Yaya's face turned completely ashen. She clenched her fists tightly, glaring at the other Yaya with pure resentment and bitter jealousy. Song Yaya actually tailed us all the way out to the countryside. From across a river, she had a clear view of everything happening on our side. A group of 7 or 8 exchange students were all gathered around, having a barbecue, chatting, partying, and playing games. The vibe was incredible. She couldn't join in, so she just watched from a distance. But the longer she watched, the more suffocated she felt. No matter what I was doing, the girl named Yaya was right by my side. We were never more than 10 steps apart, and we only kept getting closer. That obvious intimacy, completely different from how I acted with anyone else, made Song Yaya absolutely seethe with envy. She was dying to just storm over and drag me away, but she knew damn well that if she pulled a stunt like that, I would be furious. She didn't want to make things between us any worse than they already were. So, she couldn't afford to add any more fuel to the fire. She just had to swallow down the bitter, burning mess of emotions tearing her apart. She forced herself to bear it, and she sat there, bearing it for 6 straight hours. As the sky slowly grew dark, we lit a bonfire and kept the party going on our side of the river. It got super rowdy. I wasn't really used to all that noise, so I slipped away to the riverbank alone to get some fresh air. Song Yaya saw her chance, hurried over, and stopped me. "Zehao, I need to talk to you." I was having a great day, but looking at her still rubbed me the wrong way, so my tone was far from friendly. "Sorry, I really don't want to hear it." I turned to walk away. Song Yaya immediately panicked, grabbing my hand tight, her eyes totally desperate. "Just give me a few minutes, please. Zehao, there's something I've been wanting to tell you for a really long time." Hearing this, I finally looked up at her, but my expression was hard to read. "Long time? Like what? Don't tell me it's some bullshit about how you fell in love with me at first sight 2 years ago." By the end, there was an unmistakable mocking laugh in my voice. Song Yaya, however, stood there frozen, looking like she'd just been struck by lightning. She never in a million years expected to hear me casually throw out the little secret she thought she'd hidden so perfectly. Not that I gave a damn how she was feeling right now. The sarcastic smirk on my face only grew deeper. "Song Yaya, just listen to yourself, saying that out loud. Forget about me, if it were anyone else. Hell, if it were you, would you even believe it? Who on earth hides a crush so flawlessly for 2 whole years? Who, just to stroke their own ego, publicly rejects the guy they supposedly like, 99 times? And who, whenever things get tough or painful, never fails to throw the person they love right under the bus? You call that love? Sounds more like deep-seated hatred to me." Listening to my scathing words, Song Yaya's ears were ringing, her mind going completely blank. She desperately wanted to deny it all, but in the end, she couldn't come up with a single excuse to save herself. All she could manage were a few pathetic, empty words. "No, it's not like that. Zehao, I really do love you. Everyone around me knows it. They can all prove it to you." Well, since no one ever bothered to tell me, what the hell does who you like have to do with me? Anyway, from where I'm standing, the only guy you've ever cared about this whole time is Meng Xiaoyan. So why don't you go cry to him about your undying devotion and pour your heart out there? You two are made for each other. Honestly, you both disgusted me from the very beginning. The raw, undisguised disgust on my face was the final straw that broke Song Yaya. Her whole body was shaking uncontrollably, yet she still refused to let go. stubbornly clinging to me, begging me to stay. But I was completely out of patience for her little games. I ripped my hand away and turned to leave. The second we broke contact, she felt like she was losing absolutely everything, a suffocating, dull ache tearing through her chest. Every ounce of strength drained from her body in an instant, leaving her swaying, looking like she was about to collapse right there on the ground. I completely ignored her. With light, easy steps, I walked right back into the crowd. Never looking back, not even once. I honestly thought that laying it all out like that would finally make Song Yaya give up. But I quickly realized that the woman was completely delusional. Nothing I said mattered. Over the next few months, anytime I left the house, I was guaranteed to see her creeping around within 20 meters of me. Every few days, she'd march right up to me, holding some random junk she'd thrown together, claiming she was there to confess her feelings. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. I honestly lost count. In the face of her unhinged, obsessive stalking, I stayed completely unfazed. I gave her zero reaction. If I could pretend she didn't exist, I did. And when that didn't work, I just called security and had her thrown out for causing a public disturbance. After a while of this, the entire school knew exactly who Song Yaya was. Everyone knew all about her psychotic stalking. So, no matter where she went on campus, people would point and whisper. But she didn't seem to care at all. She just kept her eyes glued to my back, blindly following me. She really believed that if she just held on long enough, she'd eventually win me over. But reality was about to hit her harder than she could ever imagine. Not only did I not show a single ounce of sympathy, but I also turned around and accepted another woman's advances, right in front of her face. I'm good looking and have a great personality. Whenever I show up, I catch everyone's eye. So I've never been short of admirers. In the past, just to give her peace of mind, I would firmly reject other girls' advances and devote myself entirely to her. But now, I never turn anyone away. Well, except her. No matter who gives me flowers, I always take them with a smile. And say thank you, as if I'm doing it just to provoke her. Song Yaya can only watch helplessly as I get closer and closer to the women around me, completely powerless to stop it. From start to finish, we've only ever been ordinary classmates. She has absolutely no right to interfere with my social life. I made that perfectly clear one time when she got drunk and cursed out a woman who gave me flowers. I told her that to her face. As the days turned into months, time might have passed, but those words were branded into her heart. They became a blade hanging over her head, a needle piercing right through her, making her feel an unforgettable, bone-deep pain. Slowly, Song Yaya started to get used to seeing me surrounded by people who adored me. She had no choice but to admit that I was right. I was never her private property. After being rejected over and over again, she slowly grew numb to it all. No matter how hurtful my words were, or how cold my glares became, she wouldn't feel the sting of heartache anymore. She counted the rejections, from 1 to 50, from winter, to spring, and into early summer. For a moment, she thought life would just quietly go on like this. From 50, to 100, maybe even 101. Song Yaya never had any intention of giving up. But just when she thought she could really brush it all off, everything changed. I showed up holding another woman's hand, smiling as I introduced her to the people around us. This is my girlfriend. In that very moment, Song Yaya felt like her entire world had collapsed. She had assumed I was just playing around with those women, putting on a show for her. She never imagined there would come a day when I'd actually say yes to someone else. And when that day finally played out right in front of her eyes, all the blood rushed to her head. She completely lost her mind and charged straight forward, demanding an explanation. But before she could even get close, a patrolling security guard blocked her path. Separated by a wall of people, with red, teary eyes, she screamed at the top of her lungs, asking me, why? My gaze lingered on her for a split second, and I replied with a deadpan voice. I'm young, I'm rich, and I have all the free time in the world. What's wrong with dating a beautiful girl? Is that any of your business? Song Yaya completely fell apart after that. She drank alone at the bar, getting dead drunk, night after night. Every single day when she woke up, she'd stare out at the empty room, unable to stop herself from spiraling into pure agony. The utter isolation of being far from home, with no family or friends, and the bitter pain of unrequited love, they all became suffocating thorns lodged deep in her heart, impossible to pull out. Sometimes, when she was drunk enough, a reckless urge would take over her. She wanted to come find me, to beg me to break up with my girlfriend. But every time she got close, seeing me holding hands with my new girlfriend, smiling so brightly, she completely lost the courage to take another step. Song Yaya had known me for 2 whole years, but she had never, ever seen such a genuinely happy smile on my face. Because during the days we were together, things weren't even just ordinary. To be exact, it was nothing but a painful, unbearable nightmare that I hate looking back on. If just one glance at me being with someone else brought her this much agony. Then back in the day, when I had to watch her with Meng Xiaoyan, how the hell do you think I felt? Today, Song Yaya finally gets to feel that exact same pain. But it's way too late now. She wouldn't listen to her friends or family. She was dead set on staying in Milan, desperate for some kind of closure. The days dragged on, yet flew by so fast. By the time the summer heat finally faded away, Song Yaya finally got the news of my breakup. When she first heard it, she couldn't even believe it. It wasn't until she heard people talking about it over and over again that she finally let out that joy she had been bottling up inside for so long. She came to me with a smile, pretending she wanted to comfort me. But things didn't go the way she expected at all. I didn't show a single ounce of sadness. The way I looked at her hadn't changed a bit from a few months ago. Just looking right through her like she was thin air, Song Yaya's smile instantly froze. She tentatively asked me if I had been wronged. To be honest, this relationship really just started out of pure physical attraction. I mean, I was just drawn to her gorgeous looks. Which is why we only dated for a few months. But after looking at the same face for a while, I honestly got a bit bored of it. And since she was heading back home anyway, I just took the opportunity to break things off. As for real feelings, I mean, sure, I put some heart into it, but honestly, not that much. So aside from feeling a tiny bit empty at first, I bounced right back. So, when Song Yaya threw out such a completely random question out of nowhere, I was genuinely speechless. I just stared at her for a long moment, before flashing a perfectly polite smile. It was a mutual breakup. We both agreed to it. What's there to feel wronged about? Hearing that, Song Yaya seemed a little relieved, but a second later, my next words froze her entirely. Besides, even if I was terribly wronged, compared to everything I went through over the last couple of years, what does it even matter? After all, weren't you there to witness it all yourself? So drop the whole crocodile tears act, okay? Those last few sarcastic remarks instantly panicked her. She desperately tried to explain, but I wasn't going to give her the chance. I can explain what happened back then. Okay. That's enough, it's getting annoying, Song Yaya. Stop putting on a show for me, alright? I'm honestly so over your whole 30% cold, 30% heartless, and 40% whatever acting routine. If you're that desperate to play out a drama, go back home. Go find Meng Xiaoyan and your little squad, okay? I'm sure they'd love to applaud your performance. Those few sentences left Song Yaya completely red in the face, stripping away whatever courage she had left to speak. I turned on my heel and walked straight toward the lecture hall. Now that I've gotten the whole dating phase out of my system, it was time to put all my energy back into my studies. I did promise Professor Liu that I'd achieve something out here before returning home to repay his guidance. After everything we'd been through, Song Yaya wasn't going to be crushed by just a few harsh words from me anymore. She actually managed to pull herself together and prepared to keep confessing. From the 50th time, all the way to the 99th time, from the end of summer, deep into the dead of winter. Even when faced with the ridiculous stunts she pulled, a swimming pool filled with flowers, massive fireworks displays, and drones spelling out words flying right over Milan, I felt absolutely nothing. Honestly, I was just relieved. Relieved that I had made sure everyone around me changed how they addressed me. Since everyone was using my English name now, barely anyone realized that I was the guy. She was actually confessing to Liu Zehao. By this point, Song Yaya had completely run out of tricks for her grand confessions. After all, the first 99 attempts did absolutely nothing to move me. She was at her wit's end. Finally, with a little nudge from her friends, she managed to come up with one last idea. For her 100th confession, she chose the small garden on campus. She set up this massive array of dominoes right in the garden, designed to recreate the exact scene of when we first met. She draped strings of fairy lights all over the branches, planning to light the candles in the garden once night fell. To take us back to how things used to be, she went through all this trouble just to lure me there. Song Yaya had called in a ton of favors, preparing dozens of backup plans. She was determined to prove to me, once and for all, that she really did fall for me at first sight back then. And that now, she was truly sorry and ready to make things right. Everything was perfectly set up, except for one tiny little detail. When the scheduled time finally arrived, the leading man never showed up. All those people she'd hired couldn't find a single trace of me. Every single backup plan fell apart. The grand surprise she had worked so desperately to put together was crumbling right before her eyes. Song Yaya completely lost it. She drove around like a maniac, frantically searching every possible place she could think of. Then, the 9 o'clock alarm went off. In a split second, the pitch-black forest was bathed in light. Countless balloons drifted up into the sky. As a shower of petals and feathers fell from above, the romantic melody of a piano echoed through the trees. A continuous click-clack filled the air. It was the sound of the domino setup triggering itself. One by one, second by second. It went on for a good 10 minutes. And the moment the very last piece tipped over, every single candle burst into flames. The whole place lit up, brilliantly illuminating the lifelike mosaic of dancing swans on the ground. The grand surprise had executed flawlessly. Yet, Song Yaya felt like every ounce of strength had been drained from her body. She leaned heavily against the flower stand, a thick layer of cold sweat breaking out on her forehead. Her eyes stared blankly into space. And for one simple reason, right there, by her right side. The spot she had so carefully reserved for the leading man was completely empty. I never showed up for her 100th confession. Just like I never showed up for my own 100th confession. Oh wait, no, my 100th farewell. Song Yaya knew exactly what happened. She knew I had seen right through her little plan, and vanished into thin air on purpose. And she was absolutely right. When the dust finally settled, her phone rang. The screen flashed with an unknown international number. But the moment she picked up, she instantly recognized my voice. Through the receiver, she could hear the crashing of ocean waves. I heard you were planning your 100th confession tonight. Such a shame I'm not in Milan right now. I'm really sorry. Hearing that familiar voice, Song Yaya's heart, which had just burned down to ashes, flickered back to life with a tiny spark of hope. She choked back all her pain and bitter frustration, forcing herself to sound completely casual as she replied. It's okay. Just the fact that you called me makes me really happy. If you're willing, I can prepare 101st confession, even 102nd. There was a faint, desperate longing in her voice. She was already weaving some sweet little fantasy where I had actually forgiven her. I had zero intention of feeding that delusion. Staring out at the churning ocean, soaking in the warm sunshine, a hint of genuine amusement crept into my voice. Yeah, there's no need for that. The only reason I'm calling today is to let you know two things. Song Yaya swallowed hard, her grip tightening on the phone. A sudden glimmer sparked in her eyes. Whether it was a sudden spark of hope, or just the dancing reflection of the candlelight. First off, I just wanted to be nice and remind you. It's winter, and the air is pretty dry. So when you're done playing your little game, you'd better blow out that whole garden of candles before you start a massive fire. Hearing this, Song Yaya looked up, just in time to see a single, withered leaf slowly drifting down from the sky. Spinning around, and the second thing, is I wanted to share some good news with you. I'm in a relationship again. And this girlfriend, she's even prettier than the last one. So, you can go ahead and stop your confessions right at number 100. Those few simple words dropped into Song Yaya's mind, sparking endless echoes. In a split second, she looked as if she were under some kind of spell, completely brainwashed by those words playing on a loop in her head. A piercing, bone-deep agony shot through her head. Overwhelmed by the intense pain, she completely lost all her strength. Smack! Her phone slipped right out of her hand, and crashed straight into a candlestick. Unluckily for her, just to make it easier to space them out. Every single one of those candlesticks was tied together with silk thread. As soon as one candle tipped over, it dragged all the neighboring ones down right along with it. The scorching flames instantly devoured the dead leaves and feathers scattered all over the ground, and quickly spread onto the wooden dominoes. The harsh winter wind raged violently. In just a matter of seconds, a massive fire was tearing through the entire garden. Song Yaya's eyes simply reflected the blazing inferno shooting into the sky. The freezing chill on her body was completely chased away by the intense heat, but she didn't even make a single move to run or call for help. Standing there like a lifeless statue, she had just become a part of the burning garden. An entire night went by. The only blessing in disguise was that there were absolutely zero casualties. When she was setting up this grand surprise, Song Yaya had actually paid to clear out every single person in the surrounding area just to keep it a secret. So when the disaster finally struck, she was the only one standing there. The firefighters arrived just in the nick of time, pulling her out right before she completely passed out from all the thick smoke. Even though she was incredibly lucky to survive, the consequences of her reckless and arrogant stunt were absolutely irreversible. The catastrophic fire left the Tsinghua University administration absolutely furious. They took a hardline stance, declaring they would hold her fully accountable no matter what. As the prime suspect, Song Yaya was promptly arrested and thrown into police custody. When the Song family heard the news, they were sick with panic. They pulled every string imaginable trying to bail her out, but this had escalated into an international incident. There was simply no way Song Yaya was getting out of this in one piece. In the end, the Song family had to liquidate more than half of their entire fortune, promising to compensate the university at exactly 10 times the damages. Only then did the university finally back down. But because the fallout was so severe, Song Yaya ended up rotting in jail for 6 whole months. She was even slapped onto the European Union's blacklist and formally deported. Banned from ever stepping foot there again for the rest of her life. The very second she was released, she was hauled straight to the airport, to be shipped right back home, staring blankly at the crowds of people bustling by in their breezy summer clothes. Song Yaya, who had been stumbling around in a daze like she was trapped in some awful nightmare, finally snapped back to reality a little. It was actually summer already. 5 whole months had just vanished, and I hadn't come to visit her even a single time. Once that harsh reality finally sank in, a messy wave of emotions surged in her chest. She couldn't quite figure out if it was crushing disappointment or just agonizing loneliness. We have all the time in the world. There'll definitely be another chance to see him again. That was the only way Song Yaya could manage to comfort herself. But the second she turned her head, she spotted me walking right out of the arrivals gate. After months apart, there wasn't even a single trace of exhaustion on my face. At first glance, I was radiating so much happiness that my eyes were literally crinkling with a smile. But the thing that absolutely shattered Song Yaya wasn't the bright smile on my face, but the woman whose hand I was holding so tightly. While she was locked up in prison, she had begged a few of her girlfriends who came to visit her to sneak in a photo of my new girlfriend for her to see. Even though she only got a quick glimpse through the thick glass window, Song Yaya had firmly burned that face into her memory. But the woman standing intimately by my side right now was absolutely not the girl she remembered. For a split second, her mind spun, completely unsure if her memory was playing tricks on her, or if her friends had just gotten it entirely wrong. And right at that exact moment, I looked up and locked eyes with her. I greeted her with an unusually warm hello, and then, completely upfront, told her the whole truth. Hey, long time no see. I just got back from a trip to Germany. I can't believe you're already out. How time flies. Let me introduce you. This is my new girlfriend, Lily. After Song Yaya came back to the country, she actually went through several people just to send me a message. She asked if I was just putting on an act, or if I was being serious. I didn't even bother replying. At this point, I've completely seen right through Song Yaya. She kept saying she liked me, but honestly, the only person she actually likes is herself. As far as she's concerned, I was nothing but a prop. A trophy to show off and feed her twisted, overinflated ego. No matter how much she tries to justify or explain herself, in the eyes of someone like Song Yaya, it's all just a bunch of cheap excuses. So, I just couldn't be bothered with her anymore. I wouldn't even stoop to her level. It wouldn't matter if she tried to prove herself 100 times. 200 times, or even 1,000 times. I'm never giving her the time of day ever again. I have absolutely no reason to waste my time on someone like her. During my second year studying abroad in Milan, I seized every opportunity to enter competitions. It really broadened my horizons and finally put my name out there. I was so busy researching the latest fashion trends with my professors and classmates. And whenever I had some downtime, I'd just hang out and relax with my friends. I'd be traveling the world with my beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girlfriend, just experiencing the best things in life together. Life is so long. I still have this massive, unpredictable future ahead of me to explore. Why on earth would I ever let myself be blinded again, and drag myself back into that mess? Time flew by, day after day. And before I knew it, my 3 years as an exchange student had come to an end. I flew back home with a literal suitcase full of gold medals. The second I stepped off the plane, I saw them holding bouquets of flowers. My parents and a few of my old buddies, all waiting to welcome me back. It had been way too long. I was so overwhelmed with excitement, I just ran straight up and gave everyone a massive hug. We caught up as we headed to the restaurant we had booked in advance. And right there, waiting for us, was Professor Liu. I hadn't seen him in 3 years. I dramatically placed my suitcase right in front of my mentor, gave him a playful salute, and joked. Reporting for duty, Professor. Your student, Zehao, has successfully completed his mission and returned. Please inspect my achievements over the past 3 years. Professor Liu, of course, already knew all about the designs I'd done abroad. But since it had been so long, he was more than happy to play along with my little joke. He patted my shoulder gently, putting on a very serious, profound tone. Now, you mustn't let this go to your head. You still need to work hard and reach for even higher peaks. Our little teacher-student banter had everyone in the room cracking up. My mom warmly invited everyone to take their seats and dig in. As the glasses clinked and the drinks flowed, the entire room was just filled with this incredibly joyous atmosphere. Once we were all full and happy, I pulled a few invitation letters out of my bag and started passing them around, absolutely beaming. I invited you all here today, not just so we could catch up on old times. But actually, I want to formally invite you all to a fashion show I've been organizing for a very long time. Hearing that, even Professor Liu looked genuinely shocked. A fashion show? In Milan? Well then, I absolutely must go and thoroughly inspect these achievements of yours. My old buddies started practically screaming with excitement. Wait, when is it? I'm going to apply for a visa right after this. There should still be time, right? Zehao, you better hook us up with those VIP front row seats. Hearing how proud they were, and how genuinely happy they sounded for me, my heart just felt so incredibly warm. This fashion show was actually being hosted by my mentor over in Milan. And because of the outstanding results I'd achieved over 3 years of hard work, I had finally earned my spot in this exhibition, getting the chance to perform my own work. This is also my very first time stepping onto a stage this big. That's why I felt I had to share such a precious moment with everyone who truly cares about me. And the people I invited didn't let me down. They all showed up at the airport together on the day we agreed on. Every single one of them, carrying my hopes and dreams for the future. I stepped onto that flight with everyone, the very flight that might just kickstart my brand new life. Right before boarding, I turned back and took one last look around. Just outside the boarding gate, I caught sight of a very familiar figure. It was Song Yaya, but my eyes didn't linger on her, because I knew she didn't have a visa to enter Milan, and she would never again hold a ticket to step into my life. Out of all the people in this world, we were just two strangers, destined to pass each other by.